Today we're going to look at some grafts. Some of them have taken, some of them have failed, some of them are in between. I don't know yet. Results to be determined. I'm just going to give my thoughts and my opinions as to why some of them failed, why some of them have taken, and why some of them haven't done anything yet. All right. Before I get started, I want to say I'm not a scientist. I'm not a professional. I'm not a researcher. I'm just a guy who's done a lot of grafts, and I'm a guy who spends pretty much most of his free time staring at plants. Okay, so let's get started. There's a lot of grafts to look at. Let's go. Come on. All right, guys, here's the first one. This is a gem avocado graft. I grafted onto a seedling a few weeks ago, and it's turned brown. If you can look beneath the grafting tape, it's starting to turn brown at the base. That tells me it's going to fail. And then the new tips that started to emerge from here have started to turn brown as well. I think this graft is not going to make it. And the reason why it didn't make it is because I took the scion wood from a tree over here, a gem avocado tree, that I have now cut back. I cut the tree back to a stump. It used to be about 4 or 5 feet tall, and it was not growing well. It had pretty weak growth, and it just wasn't a healthy tree overall. And that's the first lesson I learned, is that not to take scions from an unhealthy tree. It just doesn't, it's not going to grow right if you take a scion from a tree that's not in the best shape. So what happens with these gem trees, or most avocado trees that I've learned as well, you cut them back, they seem to bounce back really, really strongly. So that's what I'm hoping is going to happen to this tree once the winter is over. Because over here in October, by the way, this is October, Southern California, zone 10. It's we're starting to get cooler nights now. It's dropping to the 50s at night, but it's still kind of hot today. It's like in the 70s now. But once the spring comes, the trees start to wake up again. Hopefully you get some growth coming back into that gem tree. Okay, let's look at more grafts. All right, guys, here's another graft. This is a Nabal avocado graft that I did back in September of 2022, just a few weeks ago. And look, this is very encouraging. If you see something like this, new growth popping through the tape, especially up at the top of the part of the scion, that's very encouraging. I think this graft is going to take, it's going to make it, it's going to be a successful grower overall. What I learned from this is I took scions from actually a very healthy Nabal tree, and they had very active buds that were swelling at that time back in September. And that's why I think this graft took, because it had really nice buds growing out, and the tree is really, really healthy. That Nabal tree is in great shape. All right, let's keep going. There's more grafts to see. Here it is. This is oh man, this graft looks so bad. This is a Helen avocado graft I did back in spring, and this graft is definitely not gonna make it. Look, it's gotten so bad that the tree has stopped pushing growth into this part of itself, and the wood has turned brown. And as this part of the graft, this whole section is dead, and this tree is starting to push energy up into the other parts of the tree. And I think this graft failed because this is a section that I walk through a lot, and I'm sure I walked through and I moved the graft around and I pushed, because it was growing out quite a bit. And what happened was I pushed it and I moved it. And once you move a graft too much, you break up, you misalign the cambium layers that are grown here. Once you move a scion around, especially, oh, it came off. If you move the scion around too much, the cambium layers get misaligned, and then the graft will not make it. So that's a failed one right there. Here now, right below it though, is another Helen graft that is actually taken. This is a Helen avocado graft. It's actually taken well, and yeah, it's growing well. I'm surprised it hasn't broken, because I also moved this graft around too. So maybe I moved this one too much. So a lesson I learned is not to graft trees in places where I walk too much, because I know I'll be lumbering, and I kind of forget where I do some grafts sometimes, and I'll tend to knock some of them around. Okay, so let's keep going. Now we're going to look at some mango grafts. Mango grafts are always interesting. They're different than most of the fruits that I graft because they have some quirky characteristics, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here's the mango graft I did a few weeks ago. So for us here in Southern California, mango grafting season, in my opinion, is June, July, August, early part of September. And I did these grafts around early part of September. And then I'm a contrarian. I don't like to follow what everyone else does. So I did some grafts in late September. And so I'll show you some here. Here's one, and here's another one, and here's another one here. Now the great thing, oh, it's hard to see. I'll show you more in another place. The beautiful and interesting thing about these mango grafts is that they will overwinter, meaning they go into hibernation mode. They're like bears. They will sleep through most of the winter, and then one day in the spring, like around February, March, you're walking in your garden and you'll see some growth popping out. And you're like, wow, I forgot about that mango graft. But look, it's growing out now, even though it looked completely dead. Like there's a graft over there that is, in fact, let's go back over there. There's a graft over there that looks dead. It's browning up. But even those brown grafts, I never give up on mangoes, especially even if they look brown and they're about to die. Like this, what I'm talking about. It's hard to see. It's kind of hard to see. See, it's turning brown at the bottom, at the base. I'm not going to give up on this because of the fact that the hibernation thing. I want to wait till spring to see if that thing will grow. I've done some mango grafts where they look so dead, but somehow like zombies, they'll wake up around spring, around February, March. It's a pretty fascinating thing to see. All right, let's look at more mango grafts here. Here's peach cobbler. Let's see. It's hard to see. Peach cobbler graft that I did in late September, which is kind of pushing it. But I'm gonna leave this one. It's still green, and it still has a chance to grow out. And here's another one. Look at that. That's another mango graft. We're gonna wait and see for that one as well. All right. So that's what I've learned about mango grafts. All right, guys, check it out. Here's a Julia avocado graft. Julia is a rare variety. It's a seedling of Nepal, and it's a variety that I'm trying to save and propagate and spread around and try to conserve because I think it's a great, important fruit. This graft looks like it's going to take. This one is iffy. These are both Julia grafts, and I don't think the buds were well developed on this scion that I took from the tree, and I think that's why it's not taking. But it looks like it's popping through the tape. Something's might happen here, but this one is encouraging. The Julia avocado. It's a great avocado. Let's keep going. All right, guys, here's another Nepal avocado graft that I don't think is going to make it. It's turning black, and there's a lot of, seems like a fungal growth inside there. And, whoa, yeah, this is not looking good in there. Looks like there's a lot of something is molding up and dying. This looks like the inside of my compost bin, actually, inside this grafting tape. There's some funkiness going on. This is going to be a failed graft also because the rootstock below it is starting to actively grow out, and that means the tree is putting energy into these little side shoots, these little baby shoots, instead of the graft itself. So what I've learned for this is I took a scion from a tree that was close to the ocean, and there's a lot of humidity and mold and some kind of fungus, some black stuff that was on the scion. And the lesson I learned with that is if you can take scions from those kind of trees close to the ocean, they're gonna have some like this black, moldy, fungusy stuff. I don't know the exact word. Again, I'm not a scientist, guys. I'm just a guy trying to give out practical info, you know. So what I've learned with those kind of scions, all I have to do is wash it off. Just put it in water, wash it off, try to get all that little black stuff off of it, and then graft onto it. And the grafts usually take. But in this case, for that Nepal scion, I didn't do that. And it seems to, once you wrap it with the grafting tape, the whatever mold situation just intensifies because that grafting tape holds humidity and moisture and holds everything inside, and it's hard for mold to get out. Okay. All right, guys. So just wanted to share some grafts with you. As usual, if you like this video, give me a like, subscribe, give me a comment. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them the best I can. And let's keep on grafting. I kind of stopped grafting around this time of year, but I'm doing different grafts at different times of year. In fact, you know, I think I will continue to graft because I want to push boundaries and see how late in the year I can graft. So I'm going to keep experimenting and sharing with you people all the experiments that I do. So subscribe and let's keep watching and let's grow together. All right. Thanks. Bye.